My name is Karen. Standing in the penthouse that once belonged to my family, I look out at the glittering city of Austin below. The air is still, a stark contrast to the sterile atmosphere of my old condo. I open my laptop and see the encrypted folder, the red ledger, sitting on the desktop. It holds the entire record of my betrayal, yet I feel no trace of the fear or anger I once had. Just a while ago, I deleted that folder and emptied the trash. For the first time in my life, I felt truly free. But how did I get here? Let me take you back. I'm a heart surgeon, spending long hours in the operating room, saving lives. My family, though, has always been a source of stress rather than support. My mother, Iris, is a controlling and manipulative woman who loves to show off in the community. My younger sister, Lily, is constantly chasing after one failed business idea after another. It was the Sunday night after Thanksgiving. I was back in my modern apartment in Austin, trying to forget the humiliation I felt during the family dinner. Then, I received an email. The subject was Urgent Default Notice. When I opened it, my blood turned cold. It was from a lending firm I'd never heard of, and my name was listed as the primary guarantor for a $400,000 commercial real estate loan. Not only would this default ruin my finances, but it could also be reported to the medical board and cost me my medical license. Next to my laptop was a copy of a $40,000 certified check I'd given to Iris just 3 days ago at that disastrous dinner. It was meant to be the final payment to save the family's beach house, which Iris flaunted as a symbol of our family's status. As I stared at the check, memories flooded back. I remembered the $18,000 I withdrew over 3 months to fund Lily's latest venture, a vegan restaurant that never even opened. And there was the $10,000 spent on a designer necklace I saw Iris wearing at a social event, while she was complaining to her friends about how hard it was to keep the family fortune intact. I'd always been the one to pay, to stop the late-night tearful calls from Iris, to avoid the guilt, and to maintain the so-called family peace. But why was it always me? I was the one working long, exhausting hours to save lives, yet I was constantly expected to save my family from their own irresponsibility. Just then, my phone lit up. Lily texted saying I was overreacting and that it was just paperwork. Seconds later, Iris demanded that I call and fix the mess I'd apparently created. There was no apology, no sense of remorse. They were like predators, and they defaulted on the wrong loan. My initial rage turned into a cold determination. I decided to take action. I called my lawyer, Sarah, a forensic litigator. I told her about the default notice, the forged signature, and asked for a full credit freeze, a restraining order, and a complete audit of all accounts with my name on them. An hour later, Sarah called back with bad news. The loan had an acceleration clause, meaning the full $400,000 was due immediately upon default. As the primary guarantor, I could be sued personally, and my medical license was at stake. The next day, Sarah called again. She said the loan was brokered by a man named Henry, my uncle. I was stunned because I'd always been told that Henry was in prison for embezzling money from the family business and nearly ruining it. I went to Sarah's office, where I met Henry. He was well dressed and looked nothing like a man who'd spent years in jail. He told me that he and my father were the co-founders of the business, and when my father passed away, Iris and he had different visions. She wanted to sell everything while he wanted to expand. So, she forged his signature on a buy-out agreement and spread the story that he'd stolen the money. Henry also revealed that he'd been monitoring Iris's finances for 20 years. He said he couldn't step in before because I wasn't ready to break free. The $400,000 loan was a sign that I was finally ready to fight back. He further explained that Iris's income came from a management fund he'd set up, and this fund had a good faith clause. If she engaged in fraud against a family member, the fund would be dissolved. A few days later, before the hearing, Iris showed up at my condo. She looked a mess, with her hair in disarray and red, puffy eyes. She begged me to stop the legal process, calling Henry a criminal. But I saw through her act. I told her that I wasn't the one who'd forged a signature, risked my license, or violated the good faith clause. When she demanded that I fix the situation, I said no for the first time in my life and meant it. I handed her copies of Henry's affidavit and the emergency injunction, showing her that she'd been caught. She threatened me, but I was unmoved. I closed the door on her, and it was like shutting out a lifetime of manipulation. At the hearing, Iris and Lily's lawyer tried to paint me as a vindictive daughter and Iris as a loving mother who'd made a mistake. But Sarah presented the facts: the forged loan document, the forensic analysis of their bank accounts, Henry's affidavit, and the good faith clause. The judge quickly ruled in my favor. The loan was declared null and void, my name was cleared, and Iris's fraud had activated the clause in the management fund. The family's beach house and other assets were seized to pay the creditors. That evening, Henry met me in the lobby of my condo. He gave me the key to the penthouse that Iris had taken from him years ago. He said it was a restoration, not a handout. And now here I am, in this penthouse, having finally cut the anchor that was holding me back. I've learned that sometimes the people we think are our roots can actually be an anchor, and cutting them loose is an act of courage. Have you ever had to cut an anchor in your own life? Share your story in the comments below. If you feel a sense of release from my story, please share it with someone who needs to hear it and hit the like button.